You want me to put that on my todger?
Princess Anne kicks Sussex ass. Princess Anne is 72 years old. Principled, understands the nature of service, has spent her entire life attending to the needs of the royal family. She has backbone, what some of us would refer to as bottom, meaning that she's got substance to her, that she has something about her. She's not a wishy-washy, see-through, transparent character, unlike Harry's wife. Anne is the Princess Royal, and as you know, sister to King Charles. She's always had close ties to Britain's security services. She's Colonel-in-Chief of the British Army's Intelligence Corps, having taken over that role from her father after he died, the Duke of Edinburgh, in 2021. Many people know her for her bravery in the face of an attempted kidnapping in 1974, in which 4 men were shot: her royal protection officer, a police officer, her chauffeur, and a journalist who tried to intervene. She was only 23 years old and newlywed when she and Captain Mark Phillips were driving back to Buckingham Palace in a limousine marked with the royal insignia. It was about 8 p.m, and they were returning from a charity event. While Anne's entourage drove down the Mall towards the palace, a vehicle blocked the road. A man named Ian Ball got out and shot Anne's driver in the shoulder. He demanded Anne get out of her car. "Not bloody likely," Anne said. She stayed in the limo and kept Ball talking, discussing where they might go. She explained after the event in 1980, "I was scrupulously polite because I thought it was silly to be too rude at that stage," showing the kind of fortitude and backbone that we know her for. She was also, of course, often known for having said "naff off" to journalists, but in actual fact, she showed a greater level of robustness. It was the fact that she was reported as having famously told reporters to naff off after they took pictures of her falling off her horse at an eventing competition, but actually wasn't the case. According to journalists who were there at the time, Anne actually said other F-off words, but they just didn't report that bit. In fact, it's believed that they might have even made up the naff word themselves to cover up for the fact that she swore at them. She was winning equestrian events in the early 70s, including the European Eventing Championships, but she was often frustrated by photographers capturing her falling off her horse and asking personal questions. And, repeatedly, she lost her temper with them, and those pictures ended up being splashed across the front pages. A royal photographer for the Daily Express, Steve Wood, explained that when she reportedly said "naff off," it created a storm. But his colleague Ashley Walton said the truth is the journalist made up the naff word to cover up another word. And in actual fact, she'd been far ruder. The fact is, this again demonstrates that Anne is not somebody that will suffer fools gladly. And, unsurprisingly, that extends to Harry and Harry's wife. Now, of course, she isn't saying everything about them. She understands that discretion is more appropriate. She will privately have undoubtedly very robust views about the gruesome twosome, and it would not surprise me if privately she had given Harry a good tongue-lashing in private and put the Duchess of Delusion in her place. The Mirror reports, through Hannah Kane, that Princess Anne revealed what she really thinks of Prince Harry and Harry's wife during a candid interview. The Princess Royal, who is due to celebrate her 73rd birthday next week, discussed the prospect of a slimmed-down monarchy, adding that it didn't sound like a good idea. Despite her brother King Charles being in favour of the proposal, she told Canadian broadcaster CBC that the suggestion was made when there were a few more people around. Anne, who was the hardest working royal, was interviewed by chief correspondent Adrienne Arsenault, who said it is difficult to imagine how she could take on more work. Well, I think the slimmed-down monarchy was said in a day when there were a few more people around to make that seem like a justifiable comment, Anne quipped. The reference to a few more people left many people believing it was a dig at Harry and Harry's wife, who decided to quit as working royals, as well as Prince Andrew, who stepped down from public life. When it was put to her that the world changes, Anne said, "It changes a bit. I mean, it doesn't sound like a good idea from where I'm standing. I have to say, I'm not quite sure what else, we can do." And asked if there are conversations about relevance, she replied, "There will be everywhere. It's not a conversation that I would necessarily have. I think it's perfectly true that it is a moment where you need to have that discussion. But I would just underline that the monarchy provides with the Constitution a degree of long-term stability that is actually quite hard to come by any other way." Speaking about what kind of king her brother will be, Anne said, "Well, you know what you're getting because he's been practicing for a bit and I don't think he'll change. He is committed to his own level of service. That will remain true." It was put to the princess that she doesn't seem to worry about the health or the longevity of the monarchy, and she replied, "I think you're putting words into my mouth, as they say." She said she believes there is genuine benefit from this particular arrangement, the constitutional monarchy, and I think it has good long-term benefits, adding, "And that commitment to long-term is what the monarchy stands for." A stoic response from her, and everything that you would come to expect of Princess Anne, and what you would not expect to come from Harry's wife. Of course, she had her dig about service being universal, but she ran away from that service. Anne's comment, of course, also demonstrates how the monarchy has survived so much and will continue to do so. Again, casting shade on Harry and Harry's wife for having run away essentially from hard work and a little bit of turbulence. Naturally, in the world of Harry's wife, her narcissism sees it as more, causing her to believe, through her narcissistic lens, that people were racist to her, that people weren't sympathetic and supportive of her, which drove her to assert control by withdrawing and retreating to Canada and then California. But you can see how the Princess Royal doesn't even deign to mention them by name. They are an afterthought. They are nobodies. That's the disdain that she has for them. And that's the most effective way for them to be treated. Not to be mentioned, not to be talked about, not even to be thought about. As I've explained elsewhere, until such time as people stop reading the articles and watching the videos and commenting about them, which will then lead the media to put less articles out about them, they're not going to go away. The royal family, however, continue to treat them as if they don't exist, which is the most effective way. And Anne, even with those few words, by not mentioning them by name, but letting everybody know who she's talking about, gives them another kick up the backside that they richly deserve. Harry's wife is unlikely to appreciate the subtlety of the comment. Even if she were to read the report, it would go over her head. Subtle is not her thing. She knows when she's been snubbed. She knows that when she's been ignored. But a comment of this nature actually would go straight over her head because she's not that good at picking up on things when it comes to subtle comments such as this. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.